stunning report from the City Journal showing a massive fraud scheme in Minnesota. You have to hear about this. It involves false autism claims, the Somali community, and connections to a terror group. Let's explain over at The Wall. Now, it all revolves around autism and HSS program. That is Minnesota's Medicaid Housing Stabilization Services. Now, this was created to help seniors, addicts, and others find housing. But the criteria to enter this program was incredibly loose and therefore easy to take advantage of. It's led to fraud and costs absolutely exploding. Just 5 years ago, in 2020, costs for this program were $2.6 million. 4 years later, by 2024, costs had been over $100 million, 104. Through the first 6 months of this year, costs are at $61 million, meaning if you double that over the entirety of the year, you're looking at $122 million. In 5 years, from $2 million to $122 million. Now, why? 6 people are accused of defrauding HSS, and they're members of the Somali community. But this just gets worse if we take a look at Minnesota's federally funded autism program. Now, several people, and this is an example, a woman in the Somali community, are co-conspirators, and they're accused of recruiting kids for autism therapy. They brought in families, had them convinced to get their kids diagnosed as autistic. In fact, these families ultimately ended up having various social services bid for their children, competing with the number size of check that they would get. It didn't matter if the kids had autism. And what happened? Autism claims to Medicaid surged. In 2018, $3 million. By 2023, listen here, from $3 million to $400 million. Autism providers jumped from 41 to 328 in 5 years. Now, City Journal reports that the Somali fraud rings send a lot of money back to Somalia. 40% of households in Somalia get remittances from abroad. That totals $1.7 billion. That is more than the entire budget of the Somali government. Money being sent abroad, from abroad, back to Somalia. Where is that money going? Take a look at this. Most alarmingly, a lot of that money is funneled through money traders, and in the end, ends up in the hands of al-Qaeda-linked Islamic terror group Al-Shabaab. So to bring this full circle, the Minnesota taxpayers are funneling money through fraudulent autism claims back to Somalia, where that money lands in the accounts of Al-Shabaab.
I'm calling on Governor Tim Walz to resign as governor. Who am I? I'm a taxpayer. And if you're a taxpayer here in Minnesota, I hope you will join me in asking Governor Tim Walz to resign. Why? Because he has absolutely failed this state on almost every single level. We had a report come out from the Minnesota Chamber of Commerce that between 2019 and 2024, which is the last year data was available, Minnesota is failing on every single economic measure. Now, you may argue, well, that's something that needs to be taken care of at the ballot box, and I would agree with you, but let's add more to this. He's also failed his own party. He told the Democrat Party and those that want to see gun reform take place here in Minnesota, which I disagree with, needless to say, in the wake of the Catholic school shooting, he said he was going to hold a special session and take a vote on banning assault weapons, scary-looking guns, according to Democrats, and high-capacity magazines. And he failed to do so. He's failed his own party. But let's get to the real reason why Governor Tim Walz needs to resign, and he needs to do it today. It's the fraud. We already have the documented fraud. $2 to $6 billion has gone under Governor Tim Walz's watch, under programs created by his party while he was in office. And now we have multiple sourced allegations that taxpayer dollars went through autism centers fraudulently and then were sent overseas to fund terrorist organizations. Here in Minnesota, we had a multi-billion-dollar surplus a few years ago. We got back a tiny fraction of that as taxpayers. That money was more than what the state should have taken away from us. And they didn't give it back to the taxpayer. That money goes to these different social service programs that have now been discovered to be fraudulent. And that money, we now know, according to the reporting by the City Journal, was sent overseas to fund one of the worst terrorist organizations, Al-Shabaab. I talked with a counterterrorism expert friend of mine today who says that it's shocking, but not surprising. Enough is enough. I hope you'll join me.
I mean, I have no worry. I don't know how they take away my citizenship and like deport me, but I don't even know like why that's such a scary threat. Like, I'm not the 8-year-old who escaped war anymore. I'm grown. My kids are grown. Like, I can go live wherever I want.
Crystal, we'll let you start this one off. You can go with it wherever you want to go. Man, Ilhan Omar is she's a piece of work, to say the least.
That's why you don't let anybody in your government. I'm sorry. This is precisely why you don't just let anybody in your government. These people sit down here, as I said to you, I think we talked about this, Wise. People get into the government for a come up. They're not coming up there to serve anybody. They're not here to serve the community, their constituents. They're here for a come up. That is the point of them. And then when you decide now you're going to let people that are not American, that hate America, get into that position, they're going to make sure that they funnel everything they need back to their country. They could care less about how Americans are doing. And somebody said here on my page, it's our own fault. It's our own fault because we keep letting these type of people in place. The fact that there's so many, let me tell you, my daughter's on the spectrum. And it's the hardest thing as an American citizen to get all that I need for my own daughter. Okay? Not given. She's not major like other people, but just to get the services that was necessary growing up so that she can get what she needs to get. It was a struggle as an American citizen. You have these people coming in here fraudulently claiming stuff, and all of that money is being sent back to, I'll say this for social media purposes, terrorist groups, allegedly, even though we know. And people don't understand the problem. And the Democrats will sit down here and say, no, y'all all lying. This is literally the problem, because when people give you the truth, they give you the facts, they have done the investigation, they have found all the information to say, this is where your money is going. People will still say you're lying and will still go and vote for foolishness. Wise, I promise you, every time I watch more of these people, it rides my nerves, because this is the definition of fool. What the Bible talks about this is the definition of fool. This is the definition of insanity. You keep doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. The only results you keep getting is that they keep being charlatans. They keep stealing from you. They keep destroying America and taxing you. It's like a constant cycle. It's irritating. It's very irritating. At some point in time, ask God to remove the scales from your eyes, because clearly you need help. You can't do it yourself. So remove the scales from your eyes, because these people, they're ridiculous. And spirit fingers, sparkly fingers, Tim Walz should have been gone. He's a hot mess from the very beginning. We all know that. He should have never been in there. Listen, the man has lied excessively. I don't even understand why people keep putting him back. And that is why Minnesota looks the way it does. Let's be real. Minnesota has been a hot mess for a while. And this is precisely why, because y'all have no leadership. You have people that are stealing from you and destroying your state. And then y'all want people like that. Y'all were trying to put him in the VP role? Are you insane? To destroy America? Y'all have lost your mind. I am glad. Oh, I love that name too. Touchdown Timmy. Thank you. Touchdown Timmy. I am glad that we did what we were supposed to do. We got to the polls, and we gonna keep. You hear that, people? We all gonna keep going to the polls. Do not sleep, because the minute you sleep, they're going to get us in the space of we own nothing and be happy about it.
Yeah. They said in Minnesota, 1 in 16 Somali children have been diagnosed with autism. 1 in 16. You would think that would be a crisis. You know what I'm saying? That would be considered a crisis if it was actually true. They said 85 autism centers in Minnesota are caught up in this fraud. and they went from 1.2 million in 2017 to $228 million billed in 2024, and it's going to get worse based off of what we've already seen for this month or for this year. This is crazy. Celeste, I'll give you the next word. What are your thoughts?
This is just the lie of multiculturalism. Multiculturalism, the job of multiculturalism is to obscure actual human nature. And the facts are people have their own values, they build their own cultures, they have their own priorities, and they have their own interests. And sometimes their interests, their priorities, and their culture cannot assimilate with yours. Everybody can't be together. And I'm very sorry. We can all be human. We can all respect each other as human. And we can all understand that God loves us equally. But that's where equality ends. It ends with God. Here, we are all different. We are all individual. We have our own priorities and our own interests. And multiculturalism keeps trying to tell us, and has for the past 50 years, that everybody's the same and everybody can be one because everybody is the same and everyone's not the same, which is why you have all of these disparate groups having problems coming together. And the Democrats have a real issue because what they had in the Obama coalition is gone. Now what they have is a group of a bunch of disparate groups who have different priorities, all vying inside that one party. And we saw this a little bit in the 2024 election through the conflict between Israel and Hamas. So we started to see that disparate group. But if you really look at the coalition that they're working with now, everybody there has their own interests and their own priorities. But the one thing they do have in common is they want the government to expand. And that's the thread that's holding all of them together. And that's what's keeping the multicultural lie afloat. It's because they're like, okay, we'll all do this. We'll all pretend that our interests are subordinate to our desire for larger government. And this is why conservatives have to continue and not let up the fight on reducing the size of government everywhere in any way we can. Because when you have these large governments that can basically with an unlimited ability to tax the citizenry, there is no way to avoid corruption and fraud. The only way to get fraud and corruption away from the government is to leave a little bit of money and a little bit of what the government can actually do. So you have to reduce the size and scope so that you can return the people's money back to the people for them to freely exercise and for those dollars to compete how it can be spent, as opposed to the government allocating how those dollars can be spent. And then people can go back to being free, because as long as this government is this big and they can basically, there's no restriction on taxing, you will never have anything but fraud and corruption.
AT, I'll get the next word.
I'll add on to what Celeste said, because I think it's a great point. Whenever a question I have for anybody who supports, I'm guessing it's Waltz, who's there in Minnesota, who supports that, who can hear this and be like, nope, I still want to support this administration, is what's your cutoff? How much money can be wasted before you say, hey, maybe we have a flawed process? Or how many lives have to be wasted before you say, okay, fine, right, maybe I don't vote blue no matter who in this one situation? Because to Celeste's point, we know this is objectively true, right? This guy has all his facts and figures, so we know that money is being mismanaged, that good fraud, waste, and abuse we like to talk about. So what's going to happen now that we know this information? Unfortunately, the answer is probably nothing. It's probably going to be like, oh, cool, that's a nice news cycle. Let's move on to something different. And we're allowing this to take place. But I had to pull it up. I was curious, how bad is this organization? Because I have a little bit of history with some interacting with some people who identify as being a part of a terrorist group. Last 10 years, let's just talk about that. For the Al-Shabaab, or however you say that, the organization, the attack in Mogadishu Mogadishu that killed about 500 people. Let's see, in Kenya, they killed 148, injured 100 others during the shooting. They had, let's see, just turn of the century here, 2019, they killed 21 in Kenya. And then most recently, 2024, it killed 37, injuring over 210, once again in Mogadishu. So this is money that is directly going to support that. And my question is, what is the FBI doing? My question is, what is law enforcement doing? What is anyone doing now that we have this information? And we have to be aware that we live in a society where the answer is nothing. The answer is we're okay with a certain amount of fraud. Apparently, we're okay with our money being mismanaged. Apparently, we're okay with individuals lying to take money out of our pockets. These are taxpayer dollars, right? So this is where your money is going to, and it is supporting individuals where if it was you and them and they had an opportunity, they 100% would kill you because they hate you. And we just ignore all of that because we just want our ideology to win. And I think that is a indication of how we were failing the American experiment, and it's a temperature check that the fever is running high in the United States of America with the current system the way that it's set up. I echo everything that Celeste said. We have to completely restructure some things so that money like this, to the tunes of millions, are not just falling in the cracks somewhere and potentially giving money to individuals and resources to those who want to do nothing less than harm.
Grasso, I'll give you the last word on this.
Representative Tom Burkett from Tennessee introduced a bill called House Resolution 260, passed in, I think it was June of this year, to stop taxpayers going to terrorist organizations. Our government sends between $40 and $80 million a week to the Taliban since the fall of Afghanistan. $40 to $80 million a week, ladies and gentlemen, directly go to the biggest terrorist organization in the country. And it's all your taxpayer money. And it's been sitting on the desk of a Republican-held Senate and a Republican-held Congress and a Republican-held presidency since June, and nothing has happened. It's not even been introduced into the Senate. Understand that your money is being used to keep power in the world. The reason why America stays number one, the most powerful country in the world, is because we are allowed to subvert other governments using money. And that's what we do. And that's what it'll continue to do. We need bulldogs in Africa to destabilize areas in order to keep control. We need to destabilize governments in order to keep control and to be number one. So you can sit on your couch and collect your SNAP benefits and watch your Jerry Springer. And unfortunately, death is a dirty business. And it's going to continue to be that way as long as you want to stay number one.
I want to hear from you guys in the comment section. What are your thoughts on this? Let me know. The comment section should be full here. I want to hear from you guys. Hit the like button, share the video, subscribe to the channel. If you want to go the extra mile and support the channel financially, join the ARP family or buy your brother a coffee. That link's in the description box below. I appreciate you guys. A lot of love for you guys, man. And as always, keep God first, stay prayed up. We'll catch up with y'all next time. Peace.
We won't stop. I won't quit. Stand for the truth. No counterfeit. Real ones rise. Let the fake ones split. Repent for the lies. Let the dark